Yo, what's going on? Y'all? This is your boy, I'm back again. And today, I want to have a little talk with y'all again. But before we get started, I want to let y'all know that whatever I talk about on this video, or any other video that I talk about, it's all purely based on my experience, my personal opinion. I don't try to push my opinion or any the way I feel about any subject or particular thing on anybody. If you got any, if you don't agree with me, go ahead and hit me up on the comments. Let me know what you think. Just keep it clean and keep it respectful. And we should be cool. But anyways, I want to talk about balding. Balding, losing your hair. I've had clients throughout the years that were balding, receding, and people, good clients, consistent clients that were hard workers, and they took care of themselves and they took grooming serious. But, it's one of those realities that, if you live long enough, most of us are going to experience balding in some form, shape, or type of way. A lot of y'all know that I used to have locks, dreadlocks, and I experienced a little bit of balding in the crown area and a little bit on my hairline. And I actually did something about it. I went to Turkey and got a hair transplant a couple years ago. It's about two and a half years ago, probably 3 years. Yeah, about 2.5 years ago. I went to Turkey, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and link the name of the clinic and on the description on this video. So if y'all interested in going out there, check them out. But anyways, balding is something that we all experience at some point in time. Some men don't experience balding though, but from a barber standpoint, you get those clients that come in and you've been cutting their hair for years and establish a great relationship with them, and they trust you with their hair growth, with their haircuts, and you start to notice a little bit of receding, and they notice it right away. And at first I always try to, hey, it's something that happens to us all. Look, it's happening to me. I might show them where I'm receding at, give them some of my personal advice, personal opinion. A lot of times people, you got the guys that want to just let the hair go and just say, all right, cut it all off. And then you got the guys that want to hold on. Fortunately, I was one of those guys. Unfortunately, I was one of those guys that wanted to hold on as long as possible. And I would wear my dreads up in a bun on the top of my head so it would actually cover up the balding spot. And I did that for like years. And at some point I realized that, hey, you know what? There's no covering this up. I got to do something about it. And that's exactly what I did. I scheduled a meeting with some people, and went out there and got the job done. And I'm a little bit happy with my results. I personally don't think that I thought I was going to just have a full long head of hair, and I thought that, man, I was going to have long flowing hair. But what it did was it actually filled in the gaps. It actually, got me to grow hair back in that area again. It's not as thick as the rest of my head, but there is hair there. So that was a win, but I was expecting for it to be like a full, thick, head of hair. But, for what I paid, and I got the chance to experience, exactly what I experienced. It was worth it to me. Would I go back to do it again? I don't know, because the pain was so painful. But I do suggest transplant to my younger clients that first start experiencing balding and they want to do something about it early. I do recommend a transplant, but a lot of my older clients, the ones that just been bald for like 15 years, 10, 15, 20 years, I just let them know, hey man, you know what? Just embrace it. You know, it's one of those things you just gotta accept. And or I mean, if you got the money, go for it. Go out there and do something about it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. That's what I like to tell people. But anyways, balding is serious, man, because you could have a man looking 10, 15, 20 years different, man. Just because, your hairline might be receding a little bit. So, it's a big deal, It could really affect your self-esteem, the way you see yourself, the way you carry yourself. And I've seen it make and break men, But one thing, quote from Lincoln, that all men can stand before adversity, so I've seen male pattern baldness, alopecia, all type of issues affect men, but what I noticed is at some point when the person accepts the balding or their circumstances, they tend to move forward pretty easy. First, it takes a while, depending on the person, but once they accept, what they're going through, they tend to work towards it a little bit better. And sometimes I lose a customer. Sometimes I actually retain a customer. They just say, hey, man, they come in and say, hey, man, shave it all off or get it as low as possible. Another option that I sometimes recommend is SMP, which is scalp micropigmentation. And SMP is a good option for those that are a little lighter skin, not as dark, and it's pretty much like a hair tattoo. And it's something that you can get done fairly quickly. There's a lot of guys offering that service now. It's not so hard. If you're in a major city, you can just type in SMP in the name of your city, and I'm sure something will come up within a 100-mile radius of anybody anywhere in the U.S. As far as my overseas guys, I'm sure if you're around a major city, then there should be somebody offering it around town wherever you are. SMP is a good option for. I noticed that a lot of the Latino brothers are doing that. I've traveled a lot in my life, and I noticed that a lot of Latino or Afro-Latino brothers, they use that option, and it looks good. If it's done right, it looks really good. There's a couple guys in my area that offer those services, and let me tell you, man, those guys are doing well. It's one of those services that needs maintenance with time, but if you establish a good relationship with whoever does your procedure or your service, it'll probably work itself out for the best. But anyways, so SMP, scalp micropigmentation, and a hair transplant are the two other options. I don't know. I personally think that balding is part of life, man. It's just one of those walks we all, at some point, are gonna have to face. Like I said, some are better than others. Some people don't have to experience. I've met guys in their 70s, 80s that still have a head full of hair. I mean, it might not be as thick as it used to when they were younger, but they still have a full head. And it happens. But then I've met guys that are like 21, 23, 25, and like LeBron, just start losing the front of their head. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed LeBron lately, but he's gonna have a full head of hair. Even Prime Time Sanders, you know what I'm saying? Dion. I noticed that he was receding for a while, and he got his hairline back. So it's a transplant is a pretty common thing. A lot of people use enhancements, which is a good option, but it's not a long-term option. It's just a temporary option. So experiencing male pattern baldness or alopecia or stress-related hair loss could be a really life-changing thing, man. It could really affect you in a lot of ways, and I feel like the best thing to do is kind of once you start to notice the receding or thinning or lightening, you start to feel like your scalp gets real sensitive. Best thing to do is start to look into products that might help, nurture your scalp. Make sure you use a good shampoo that's not full of chemicals that would put your scalp at risk. Avoid hats. Avoid standing directly under the sun. There's things that you can do. You can take supplements. Different things online. I mean, right now we live in an internet age. You could pretty much type in something on Google and Google what herbs or natural remedies would help with balding. So there's a lot of options out there. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or concern based off anything that I talked about today, go ahead and hit me up on the comments, man. Let's talk it out. But like I said, always keep it clean and respectful. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.